Welcome back, everyone. Unlike Elda, I'll be sitting because this is a tutorial, and I have to use the computer to show you things with the tool. The idea is that I'd like all of you to use the tool together with me, so that you get practice and you get used to the look and feel, so that on Monday you'll be able to carry out the second part of the experiment without experiencing too many technical problems. So, I'm going to show you how to install the tool. I guess that's going to be very quick because I think most of you have already done that. I present a running example that we will use throughout this tutorial. And I'm going to show how to initialize the tool, creating a diagram, and then how to use the tool itself. And basically, I'm going to show in practice what Elda has shown from a more theoretical point of view in her presentation. So if you have any trouble with the tool, please interrupt me at any time. So installing the tool is as simple as going to the website, choosing the right version for your machine and operating system, downloading it, and installing. And installation is basically extracting the compressed archive and executing the STS Tool binaries for your operating system. The running example that we're going to use in the tutorial is basically related to compliance with the privacy laws in Italian public administration. And it talks about a problem that I guess many of you have experienced. So, especially international students. So the idea is there is an international student who needs a document from the program coordinator, so the guy who is coordinating your master's or your PhD, and that document is needed to get your permit of stay extended. And of course, we are in Italy, so the program coordinator is going to delegate this task to the secretary. And the secretary retrieves information about the student, such as personal data and the financial status from the information system of the university. And well, what's the security issue here? There is a lot of confidential data which is going around. So personal data and financial status of the student is something which is quite important to you. You don't want, everyone in the university to know which is whatever, your income or your date of birth. And so the information system manager has to make sure that while issuing this certificate, the information is exchanged according to confidentiality restrictions. So step one is creating a new diagram. And I'm going to show you this activity with the tool. I have the tool already running here. And the tool, as Elda said, is based on Eclipse. So it has the look and feel of an Eclipse application. And most of the menus which are around are the same menus you find in any Eclipse application. So as I said, so basically starting from a closed diagram, I'm not hiding this, but sorry, I guess I've done some mistake. Okay, so this way, no. Okay, this outline, sorry. All right. Okay, so creating a new diagram is as simple as going to the File menu and left-click on New Diagram. You'll be asked for a name of a diagram, and once you've done that, the idea is that you'll see something like this. Okay, you have something like this, which is an Eclipse application with a large white box in the middle, which is called the canvas. And the canvas is where you draw your models. On the right-hand side, you have a palette, and the palette contains all the elements that you can use to create your models. And on the bottom part, you have the properties, and the properties is a view which is changing all the time depending on the element that you have selected on the canvas, and we're gonna see it later on. And in addition to that, you also have another tab on the bottom, which is called Security Requirements. And that corresponds basically to the security requirements which are automatically derived from the model that you have. So you don't have to do anything there. It's some information which gets populated as soon as you do your modeling. And on top, you have, I guess, 3 buttons which enable you to switch from one view to another view. Elda has told you how STSML is based on 3 orthogonal views. The social, the information, and the authorization view. So these buttons enable you to switch from one to the other view. Each of them are interrelated in the sense that if you create an actor, a role, for instance, in the social view, that role will be shown also on the other views. So let me show this to you. I'm creating a role now in the social view. And that role is going to appear also in the information view and in the authorization view. However, the views are graphically independent in the sense that if I move an object in the information view, its position is not going to change in the other views. So these are the main features of the multi-view modeling. And of course, if you delete some object, like I delete the role, then that role is going to be deleted from all the views. Okay? All right, so creating a new diagram is as simple as this. And did any of you experience any problem in creating a new diagram? Okay. So I'm going to show you how to use the tool using the same phases that Elda described. So phase 1 is modeling the social view. And the idea here is you want to understand who are the stakeholders, which are their assets and their interactions, and then you want to express which are the security needs that the stakeholders have on their interactions. So the first step is identifying the stakeholders. Elda has explained how you can have some roles and some agents. You have roles when you have basically an actor which is not known at design time, like a student or a professor, meaning that anyone at runtime can play that role. But sometimes you may have an agent, so it means you already know that someone will be part of the scenario. So in the example about the certificate for the permit of stay, I guess already in the description of the scenario there were 4 identified roles, and those roles are the student, who wants the certificate to be issued, the program coordinator who has to sign and prepare and sign this document, the secretary who's gonna get the some delegation from the program coordinator, and the information system manager who takes care of the actual database. So let's try to replicate this diagram here using the tool. So I'm switching back to the tool now. And what we're going to do is using the palette on the right and choosing the role element. And to choose it, we click on it once. And we release the mouse button. And we go on the canvas. And we position the mouse cursor somewhere. We left click again with the mouse, and at this point in time, a new role shows up on the canvas. So the first role will be, for instance, the student. Now I do the same procedure for the others. So left click on the element, then release the mouse button, then go on the canvas, left click again. Now let me create the program coordinator. And I guess at this point in time, when I try to write program coordinator, a small problem occurs, which is there is a maximum length for the labels, and this length currently is 20 characters. So what's the reason for that? The reason is you don't want in the diagram to have very long descriptions of the elements. So the question is now, how do I give a more elaborated description? And the answer is you use the properties. So on the bottom of the tool, you have basically a bunch of properties for the role, which are a general description, the mission, and the purpose of the role. I guess for the time being, we can just fill in the description, and we can write, for instance, the long name of the program coordinator for masters at UnityN. And that gives a more elaborated description of the role that we have identified. And one could do the same for the student, of course. So, for instance, student at UnityN. So why is it important? Well, first, it's always important to document your models because, well, either if you're going to read your models in a month or so, you won't be able to understand them unless you describe them. Second, if you hand your document to someone else, that someone else will have to understand your short labels, and description is therefore fundamental. And third, we are currently developing a functionality for the STS tool to export a document which contains an automated, which produces a description of the document, of the models. So the description is fundamental to enrich this document. All right, so I have created the student program coordinator. Now let's create the secretary. And the fourth role is the information system manager. And I could say, for instance, that the information system manager, whatever, I could expand IS to information system manager. Okay. to save the diagram. So from time to time, it's important to save the diagram. I guess the current version of the tool is quite stable, but in order to lose, hours of work, it's better if you save from time to time. And you can either choose the option File Save, or just press Ctrl S to do that. Okay. Now, let me go back to the presentation. We should be in a point now where we have the 4 roles created: student, program coordinator, secretary, and IS manager. And this was the initial, the first step of phase 1. Now, we stay in the social view, and the second activity is identifying the main assets of the roles and their interactions. So what are the assets? Assets are goals and documents. Goals, because those are the strategic objectives that the roles want to achieve. And documents are assets because those documents are fundamental in order to achieve the goals. For example, we'll see that some documents are necessary in order to achieve the goal of having a document written. So now we start from the student, so the international student perspective. Of course, the student wants to write a document for the immigration office. However, he cannot do it himself because he has no, his document would have no legal validity. So what he does is delegating this goal to the program coordinator. And this is what the diagram here is showing, and I'm going to show you how to do that with the tool. So again, we go to the palette, and now we choose a goal instead of a role. Same procedure, left click, then we move on the canvas. You can see that the mouse cursor changes depending on the place on the canvas. So when the idea is that you can create goals only within the scope of a particular role or agent. So that means that that role belongs, is wanted by a specific role. And you cannot create goals outside the circles which determine the scope of a role and an agent. Okay, so we create a goal for the student, which is write document for immigration office. And again, even here we have the limitation on the length of the label, and let's add a description for the goal. Write document for the immigration office. And the suggestion is to keep the properties view always on so that you can enrich your diagram. You have other fields below. We will not explore pre and post conditions for this tutorial, but capability refers to the fact that an actor, so a role or an agent, is capable of achieving a goal without interacting with other actors. So, of course, here we will not set the capability for the student because we said that the student is not capable of doing that and is going to delegate this goal to the program coordinator. So what we do now is we have to create a delegation. So far we have used the elements in the canvas. Now we'll use a relation. And the relation connects two elements. So the set of relations that you have here on the palette enable connecting different elements. So the first relation is delegate. We use the same procedure, so we left click on the delegate relation. But now, in order to create it on the canvas, we do something slightly different. So we left click on the goal, but we keep the left button pressed. We hold it, and we do, while keeping it pressed, we have to select one role. So either the secretary or the IS manager or the program coordinator. I guess I said that the delegation will be to the program coordinator. So we go we go on the program coordinator and we release the mouse button there. Which is the consequence of that? Well, it's creating a delegation link from the student to the program coordinator, and it creates also a goal within the scope of the program coordinator, meaning that now the program coordinator is supposed to write this document for the immigration office. Did you all manage to do this? Okay. So now what are we going to do? Well, just a remark about the use of the properties. I've already explained that. And now what we have to do is to refine this model. So we add more details about the program coordinator. And what are we gonna draw is basically how the program coordinator is going to achieve the goal of writing a document for the immigration office. And in order to do that, there are basically three elements to use. One is and/or decomposition, which is hierarchically refining the goal of writing a document. Two is using using documents. I guess here I should have, this is a mistake. It's not resources, but it's documents. I'm changing it on the fly. And the third is adding further delegations. So could be the case that for some activities, for some goals, the program coordinator is going to make further delegations. I guess in the example, which is already made here, in order to write the document, the program coordinator gets the student record, writes an official document, and signs the document. And that's an end decomposition, meaning that all these goals are necessary to write the document for the immigration office. So let me start doing this with the tool. So the first sub-goal I said is get student record. Then we have write official document. And now I'm out of space, so I can resize the scope of the program coordinator using basically moving the border. And the third goal is signing the document. And we'll use now the and decomposition relation to relate the goal write document for immigration office to the sub goals that we have here. So what we do is left click on the and relation in the palette. And then we do something similar to what we did with the delegation. So we left click on the goal to decompose, which is write doc for immigration office. We keep the left button pressed. We go on another goal, and we release the left button. And this creates one branch of the decomposition. And we have to do the same for the other two goals now. So we pick the relation again, left click, keeping the mouse button pressed and release on the second sub-goal, write official document, and we do it again for signed document. I guess there is a shortcut. When you have to create a decomposition, instead of keeping selecting the relation, the end relation, you can basically, as an alternative, what you can do is selecting the relation, and before drawing the decomposition, you press the control button. So you keep the control button pressed. You draw a decomposition, and now basically the tool is still selected. I can release the control, and the tool is still the end decomposition. And now I keep, the control again pressed, and I create a new decomposition. So that's a shortcut when you have many relations to draw. All right, so we said that the first step is to decompose the goal. What else? I guess the program coordinator can, in order to achieve goal, write official document, has two possible options. One is updating an old document. For instance, he has written a document for another student, and he'll just change the name using the name of the new student, or he can write a new document. And we represent that in the tool using an order decomposition. So I'm creating two new goals. Update all the document, or and another one, create new document. And now I'm gonna use the or decomposition instead of the and decomposition to relate write official document to these two sub goals. All right. So the idea is you're gonna refine your goals this way, and not only and or decomposition is important, but also it's fundamental what Elda has presented about the relationship between goals and the documents. So in the end, writing a document for the immigration office will produce a signed official document that the student can give, for instance, to the questura or the immigration office. So in order to show that, I'm going to create a document within the scope of the program coordinator, and I call it signed official document, doc. And as usual, I can use the properties view to give a more accurate description. Signed official document, to deliver to the immigration office. And we are going to relate the goals to this particular document. And in particular, I'm going to use the produce relationship to say that the goal write document for the immigration office produces the signed official document. And in order to create the produce, we use the usual pattern to create relationships, so we keep the left mouse button pressed. Okay. The last step here is to make the program coordinator interact with the secretary, because of course he doesn't want to do everything on his own. And I guess in the picture here is shown that the program coordinator delegates two goals, get student record and writing new document. So the secretary is, I guess, below in my diagram, but I'm gonna move the scope, the secretary here on the right of the program coordinator, and we're gonna use the delegation again, and from the get student record to the secretary. And once the delegation is created, we can move the delegation, because here there is some overlapping. And to move it, we have to press on the arrow. So this is important. We don't press on the goal name, but we have to press on the arrow and keep the mouse pressed. And now we can basically move the goal so that it doesn't, the delegation, so that it doesn't overlap with the goals of the program coordinator. All right, and we do something similar with goal create a new document. So we have two delegations from the program coordinator to the secretary. And again, to move the delegation, that's one of the most tricky points. You basically press on the arrow, and the mouse cursor takes this shape here, and at that point in time, you can create some points in your arrow, in your delegation. All right, so we have reconstructed this diagram, basically. Any problems so far? Okay, so step 1.3 is expressing security needs. So this is a security modeling language. So far we have just expressed some goals and some delegations. What we want to do now is to analyze these delegations and tell whether there are security needs which the stakeholders want to express over these delegations. And in order to do so, well, what we can do is to express security needs about non-repudiation, meaning that the delegatee cannot repudiate that the delegation has taken place. No delegation, no further delegation, meaning that the delegatee cannot further delegate that goal, and about redundant fulfillment of a goal, in case that's a critical goal. And to do that, well, basically what we're going to do now is to add no repudiation and no delegation. And to do that, we're gonna, I'm gonna show you how to do that now. So we basically select one delegation. Let's start from the delegation from the student to the program coordinator for writing document for the immigration office. We right-click on that delegation. And here we have a pop-up menu is shown, and we can choose security needs. And from security needs, I'm choosing no repudiation. So why am I choosing that? Because the students is, you know, cares a lot about having this document written, so he wants the program coordinator not to be able to repudiate the fact that that goal is to be achieved. That goal has been delegated. And once when a delegation has one or more security needs attached, then a padlock symbol is shown on the delegation. And you can double click on that symbol to show which are the security needs which apply to that particular delegation. So in this specific case, the delegation has only the non-repudiation security need. I'm gonna now enrich also the other two delegations, those from the program coordinator to the secretary. And in particular, I'm gonna say that the delegation of goal creates no new document has two security needs. One is no repudiation, which I create as before. Right click on the delegation and press the button no repudiation. And then the second security need I want to add is about no further delegation. So why is it important? That's important usually when you trust someone for some goal to be achieved, but you don't trust other people that this guy could involve. So it's like, you know, you trust me for giving the tutorial about STS Tool, but you don't trust, you don't want me to delegate this activity to someone else. And in order to add a security need about no delegation, no further delegation, we have to use the properties. So we have a slightly different mechanism. And we keep, you know, we select the delegation, and in the properties we have a field called transferable, and we set that field to false. Yes? I added non-repudiation, right? And now I'm adding non-delegation, non-further delegation. Yeah. Sorry? Yeah, usually it's like this. And you double click on the padlock to expand it and see which are the security needs which apply. So for instance, I may, you know, add a new security need, kind of redundancy as Elda has shown. And this would show basically two security needs which apply to that delegation. And for what concerns the non-redelegation, no further delegation security need, that's not shown with a decorator for the delegation, but is shown by changing the type of line of the delegation, which is now dashed, instead of being solid. So that means this kind of delegation cannot be further delegated. So the goal here, the semantics is that the secretary cannot redelegate the goal, create new document, or parts of it. To change the type of the line, which means adding the non-redelegation security need, you go to the properties on the bottom part and you set to false the attribute transferable. And after doing that, I guess you have to refresh the screen by pressing on the canvas your mouse. All right. Okay, so anyone having other issues while doing this? No? Good. So the idea is, by doing this, we get, to a situation like the one shown here. And now what's next? After this, we keep iterating this modeling activity on the social view, and for instance, we have focused a bit on the program coordinator, but now we're going to do a similar job with the secretary. So the secretary has two goals, right? One is get student record, and one is writing new document. These goals have been delegated from the program coordinator. And we want to understand how the secretary is going to achieve these goals. I guess for the sake of simplicity, I'm not gonna decompose all the goals. I'm gonna just give you some details. So, for instance, the goal get student record is and decomposed to getting student personal data and deriving the financial status of the student. I guess in the description of the scenario, I've said that the documentation that the student needs consists of personal information and financial status. So the goal is and decomposed to get student personal data and derive financial status. And the goal derive financial status is further and decomposed to obtaining an up-to-date income statement, and checking whether the income is adequate to enable releasing a permit of stay. And in addition to further decomposing these goals, as you can see in this figure, you have a lot of relationships with documents. So, for example, in order to get student personal data, the document personal data file is needed. And in order to obtain an up-to-date statement, document income statement is needed. And for the other goal, which is writing a new document about the student, basically the involved document is a document template. It's a template maybe from a previous student. And there are two relations here from the goal to the document. One refers to the fact that in order to write the new document, you need a document template, and the secretary will also modify it. Okay, so I guess I'm not gonna show all the steps here. I'm gonna take an already made version of the diagram, and I'm gonna wait for a few minutes, for you to complete it. Can you read it? Yeah, I think so. So as you can see here, basically STS Tool also enables to have multiple diagrams opened at the same time. So you have different tabs and you can edit each of them separately. And something that I haven't shown is that there is a zooming functionality that you can use. You can apply either using the plus, using the buttons in the palette, or I guess pressing the control button of your keyboard, and I guess with the wheel of the mouse going up or down. So up means zooming in, down zooming out. And there is also an outline of the diagram on the bottom left. That's particularly useful if you have a very large diagram and you want to move from, one part of the diagram to another one. So are you all done with this? Not yet? Let's continue. We have basically refined the secretary, and now we'll add some more interactions with the IS manager. So now we're gonna introduce not only delegations, goal delegations, but also document provision. So we're going to say that the secretary is delegating, obtaining an up-to-date statement to the AES manager, and also getting student personal data is going to be delegated to the AES manager. And we're going to show also two document provisions where the IS manager provides the personal data file and the income statement to the secretary. For those of you who are used to the iStar syntax, please notice that in this case, the direction of the document provision goes from the IS manager to the secretary. While in iStar, when you have a dependency or a delegation, you draw a dependency from the secretary to the IS manager. But here in STS-ML, we want to show the flow of information of documents from the IS manager, so from the IS manager to the secretary. And let me open the tool. I guess these are already prepared. And I guess I'm showing here that the delegation of get student personal data is characterized by a non-repudiation security need. And is not transferable as well. The arrow is dashed. I guess you can't see it very well on the screen. I have to zoom in to show it. But let me open the slides which are maybe a better way for you to see that. No, I guess it's okay. I guess I forgot to say that, but in order to create the provisions from the IIS manager to the secretary, first you have to create the documents within the scope of the IIS manager. Because the creation of provision is exactly like the creation of a delegation. So first you have to create a goal. Here we have to create a document. Let me create a new one, like just to show you, doc1. And then I choose the provision, the provide relationship, and I do the same procedure I was using, that I have carried out for the goal delegation. So left click on the document, keep left mouse button pressed, and release it on a role such as secretary. And that creates a document provision, which later I can move. Okay, in the meanwhile, you create it, I'm going to show you something about cancellation of objects. So it's not always the case that you can cancel the documents. So if I try to delete the document from the IIS manager, the tool is telling me, look, you cannot delete it because you are further providing this document to some other actor. And it's also telling you, in order to delete it, first delete the provision. So I go on the provision, I delete the provision, which disappears, and now I can delete the document. Sure? Yeah. Right. And you have created them in the secretary? Yeah, yeah. So it's my fault. I should have said to create them upfront from the IIS manager. Okay, I guess you're lucky because the only relation is the need relation. So you have to reconstruct only that one. So you have to delete personal data file and income statement from the secretary, then recreate them in the IIS manager, provide them, and then create the need relationships. So I guess in general the idea is with goals and documents, you start from with goals from the goal who originally wants that goal, and then you create delegations, and with documents you start from the role or agent who possesses that document, and then those documents will appear in other roles and agents when you create a provision from the possessor of that document to another role or agent. So, yeah. Okay, let me go ahead. So we have basically completed phase one, where we have created the social view. Phase two is now while completing phase one, we have created a bunch of documents which are exchanged. So if I open the diagram that we have created, we should have, at the very least, the signed official document in the program coordinator. Then the personal details and the income statement, which are possessed by the information system manager, and the document template and the student supporting documentation, which are in the secretary scope. So now phase two is basically understanding which is the information which is contained, which is represented by these documents. So documents are things that you exchange, but in the end, what you care about from a security point of view is the information that they contain. So you care about your passport, not because that, the passport papers are valuable per se, but because they carry your nationality, they carry your personal information, and they carry information about which are the countries that you visited. So to identify information, so to model the information, what we do is to switch to the information view. And we're going to have to identify which is the information and relate the documents with the information. So in order to do that in the tool, it's pretty simple. We just press the button information view on the top. And well, in my case, I have a ready-made scenario, but let me start, for instance, from the partial document that I have. And in that case, you have an almost empty scenario with, you should have 5 documents. The program coordinator will have the signed official document, the secretary document template, the AS manager, the personal data file and the income statement, and the student. No, you have 5. The secretary also have the student supported documentation. Okay, so what we have to do is, what we're gonna do is identify the information and use the relationships tangible by and part of to relate the information and documents, and also define who are the owners of the information. So, so the first step is to identify which is the information. And the information here, in order to identify the information, what we're going to do is to look at the documents and try to understand which is the information that these documents carry. So for example, let's start from the personal data file. Well, the personal data file, for sure, will contain the personal data of the student. So what we do is, using the palette, we're going to create an information. And as you can see, the shape for an information is similar to that of a document, but its border is dashed instead of being solid. I guess I already have personal data, so I create a similar entity with a slightly different name. And so that's what is contained in the personal data file, for sure. And now the question is, who is the owner of that data, of that information? and the owner is the student. So we use the owner relationship and we link the student to the personal data. And in STSML, we support information to have only one owner. In some cases, you may want to have more than one owner, but that's not allowed in STSML. And after we have identified the owner, we will relate the information to the document using the tangible by relationship, which says that the personal data information is made tangible by the personal data file document. So this way, we have a model which is telling us the student owns his personal data, and this information is made tangible by the personal data file. And we're going to do a similar thing for the financial status. Again, the student is the owner of his financial status, and the financial status is made tangible by the income statement document. So that's the basic kind of construct that you're going to use. Another important kind of construct is the part of relationship. In this scenario here, I'm showing that the income statement and the personal data file are both part of the student supporting documentation, which is a document that is possessed by the secretary. What's the idea behind that? Well, the idea is that the secretary will prepare a set of documents to be delivered to the immigration office for the student, and this set of documents will include the income statement and the personal data file. And that's why I'm using the part of relationship between documents. And the part of relationship can be used not only between documents, but also between information. So for example, I may create a further information such as birth data, which is again owned by the student, and I could say that the birth date is part of the personal data. So the part of relationship enables you structuring either documents or information in a hierarchical way. Please notice that the part of relationship applies only between homogeneous concepts. So you can use the part of from a document to a document or from an information to an information, but you cannot use it from an information and a document. So to show that, you use the tangible by relationship, because semantically, the meaning of that relation is different and implies that, is connecting to heterogeneous things, some, information and a real document. And in general, given an information that could be, made tangible by different documents, like the personal data here is made tangible only by the personal data file in this small example, but to be complete, I would say that the personal data is also made tangible by the signed official document, which will be, so the signed official document will have to say something like a student Fabiano Dal Piaz, born in Trento on whatever, has, is a student of our program, and therefore he can apply for the immigration document. So are you done with this? Almost. So just draw what is on the screen here. Property view, the properties apply to any document. So to any element. So I may give a description for the personal data, even to the ownership relationship. So the general idea is that in small scenarios, maybe that's not very important, but in a large scenario, especially when you share it with others, it's quite important to say, for example, what personal data means, like personal data means the name, surname, and birth date, for instance. View. Now the third phase includes modeling the authorization view. So the authorization view, now we have basically all elements that we need to create the authorization view, because we know through the information view, we have basically been able to identify which are the information which are attached to the documents and who are the owners of this information. And now the idea is we want to represent in the scenario that we are modeling which are the given, the granted authorizations. So again, we will switch to the authorization view by pressing on the button on the top of the tool. And in your case, I guess you'll get a document, you get an authorization view where you have the information and the ownership relationships. So I guess you can create information and ownership relationships both in the information and the authorization view because sometimes you realize there is new information or new relationships also when you are in the authorization view. So I guess in your case you have you won't have the authorizations, but you have all the information and the ownership relationships. So what are we gonna do now is to model authorizations. And Elda has explained what kind of authorizations we can give. And the idea in general is to start from the information owner. And you will try to understand who is granted authorization on the information that the owner has. So for example, I guess here we have two authorizations from the student to the information system manager and the program coordinator. So the student is authorizing the information system manager on the information, financial status, and personal data. And it's also saying that this authorization he's allowing using and modifying this document which include this information, and he's also saying that the information system has manager has this authorization only in the scope of goal get student personal data. That means the information system manager cannot use and modify documents about the financial status and personal data in other activities. So let me show you in the tool how we create this authorization. So I'm removing it. So the relation authorization is created by drag and dropping the relationship from between two rows, from the student to the IS manager, and you get an empty authorization. Now there is a sentence here saying double click to add resources, and you can pick the information on which you want to the authorization to be granted, and some of the the information is shown following a certain order. First, the information which is owned by the guy who's granting the authorization, and then in red, information which is not owned. So now what I'm going to do is adding financial status and personal data. And by doing this, I'm saying that the student is giving authorization about financial status and personal data. Now we want to say which are the authorized operations. And to do that, I double click on the buttons, on the UMPD buttons above this shape. And U means usage, M means modification, P means production, and D means distribution. So I double click U and M. So that means the student allows using and modifying documents which contain the financial status and personal data. And as I said earlier, I also want to restrict the scope. So which are the activities for which this authorization is granted. And I double click on the empty box below the information. And I get a list of goals. And I say that get student personal data is the goal for which the authorization is granted. So I have basically reconstructed the authorization that I've shown earlier. And okay, I guess the last point that I want to show about authorization is that an authorization can be transferable or not transferable. So what does it mean? It means I authorize Elda to use my personal data to book a flight for me, but I don't want her to further transfer the authorization that I've given to her. So I don't want her to tell, for instance, Paolo that he is also authorized to do that. And to restrict this, basically there is an attribute in the properties which is transferable. And if I set it to false, the authorization arrow will become dashed. Similarly to what we've seen in the social view with delegations. So what's the difference between giving authority, between having a transferable delegation and a transferable authorization? Well, the difference is that with the delegation in the social view, we are restricting, we are telling whether the delegatee can further delegate the goal, while here we're talking about an authorization on information. So we're giving authorization on how, on the permissions on an information, and we want to say whether the guy who gets is granted this authorization can further further propagate that authorization. Okay, so I guess you'll be completing this exercise by adding the other authorizations. But I guess the modeling part is almost done now. So I will share the document with you, the final document, so you can check it at home. So this is basically the last step of the modeling, and is the last. So now what comes next? Once you've done all these steps, the idea is that the modeling activity is iterative. So it's not that you start from the social view, go to the information view, then the authorization view, and then you're done. Sometimes you need to further refine these views, and you may have to make changes. So the changes in one view may have effects on other views. And determination criteria is basically you have to ask yourself, have I really captured all important interconnections, all the important security needs, all the important authorizations? And that's basically what you should ask yourselves. And the suggestion, again, is to use properties to better describe your models. And Elda has described how the tool allows deriving security requirements from the models. I'm going to show you this step, even though that's not fundamental for for the experiment that will be carried out on Monday. So Monday you're going to have to do modeling. So you will not care that much about which are the security requirements which are created. And the security requirements are automatically created by the tool. So while you're doing your modeling, the tool is creating, in the properties view, is creating a set of requirements. And there are different ways to organize these security requirements. You can filter them, I guess, by responsible or by requirement type. And so as soon as you modify the diagram, this set of requirements changes. So if I delete, if I change something like I don't give the permission to modify some information, then as you can see here, some requirements show up and disappear. The list changes basically. But that's not part of the modeling. But that's important because that's basically what you'll give to the designer of the system to be. Okay, so is there any question? Sure. Right, the authorization is different from the delegation and the provision in the sense that the authorization flow starts from the owner of information and comes to the to someone else. But for instance, the document flow or the delegation flow could be different. So for example, suppose I'm sending a letter to you, okay? I'm authorizing you to read the letter, but the letter will go through, for instance, some mailman, right? So the document, a letter, including the envelope, will go from me, will be provided to the mailman, and the mailman will provide it to you, while the authorization goes from me directly to you. So there is this distinction between the authorizations which are granted on the information and which is the actual, exchange of documents. In many cases, the authorization flow will follow the same path, but there are some cases where there is a difference between the flow of authorization and the flow of information, documents. And this is especially important when you analyze a setting. Also, if you want to reason about properties such as least privilege. For example, I authorize everyone in this room to read the letter for you, but you are the only one who receives the letter. Therefore, that would be a security concern because I'm giving more privileges than is really needed. Because in the end, you'll get the letter, but then telling everyone can read the letter, right? So that's why we separate the two flows. And what we are currently working on is to automatically to enrich the tool to be able to automatically derive, infer whether some of these security properties are violated. Okay. Sorry? Right. Well, the student, let me open the diagram. The student is authorizing the AES manager, right, has to. The alternative would be he authorizes the program coordinator and authorizes the program coordinator also to transfer the authorization. But I guess here the example was the ISIS manager is like, the technical staff at the university. So when you enroll in the university, you're basically telling them that they are authorized to look up your personal data, right? Because whenever they have to release a certificate, they have the authorization to do that. So that's the insight behind this authorization. Any other question? Yeah, as Elda said, it's loosely inspired by Sistar, but we started from scratch, so we tried to keep some features of Sistar, the good features, and we got rid of those whose semantics was not very clear, and we added new features. So it's part of the family, if you want. Is it currently supported? I'm not sure. No, it's not. I guess that's something we are insisting to have with our development team, but this current version does not have this.